And we are live in living color from Scimitar Studios in Denville, New Jersey. You're listening live to the Open Mic program right here on Blog Talk Radio and, of course, the Sports Talk Nation on YouTube. Glad you could join us here tonight, folks, as we've got a great show for you today, as we are going to talk a lot about the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge, as the Yankees in first place in the American League East, 2 games up on the Boston Red Sox. They will get ready for the Oakland A's, a 4-game series this weekend on the road, a series that the Yankees, you would think, would probably do pretty well in. We'll see what happens, but the Yankees playing good baseball as we are now entering the middle part of June, and about a month away from the All-Star game for that matter as well, believe it or not. But we will talk about that. We'll talk about, maybe a little bit later in the show, we'll talk about what's going on with the Giants with Odell Beckham Jr. We'll talk about that drama too. Joining me over the phone lines, one of my all-time favorite guests, and that is Karen Van Kat, who may, we'll talk about this as well, who may at some point rejoin Yankees 101. Karen, how you doing?
Okay, Michael, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Glad to have you on. So, before we get into anything with the Yankees, it's been a while since we've last talked. What's going on here with Yankees 101? You told me the other day that you have a chance to maybe possibly go back at some point.
Yeah, I got an email from them saying I can't go into too much because it's just starting up. But they're possibly the whole thing's going to be sold to another company. I can't say what company yet, but they were reaching out to people who've written for them, and they reached out to me about writing again. So that someone from the new company, once all was said and done, would contact me. And I said, yeah, I would listen to them and see what they have to say. So until that's complete, like I said, I can't say who or what because they asked us not to do that. But, once that's complete, somebody from the new company would contact me, and we'll see what they have to say. And maybe writing again.
We'll see. I hope it works out. We'll see how it happens and how it goes in the not too distant future. So, a couple other things. You and I were talking about this off air as well about the Noah Syndergaard thing, and you were asking me how it happened and everything like that. So, I guess for people who maybe they didn't tune in last week or what have you, we'll just talk about that. So, I got contacted by David Abrams, who is working for who works for Cohen & Wolf. No relation. That's not a company I'm related to. It's just called Cohen & Wolf. And they asked me, hey, look, we have Noah Syndergaard. He's going to be sponsoring Cholula Hot Sauce. Would you be interested? And I first thought, come on, that can't be possible, really? So they contacted him again, followed up, and they told me, yeah, it's going to happen. And I was able to go down to New York just a week ago and do the interview. So he was beyond nice. He was beyond nice, beyond welcoming. He was willing to sit down for 10 minutes and do an interview. It was really, really, really nice.
Because sometimes you don't know how some of these guys are. Do they think who they are? Or, there's been some speculation about Noah and what he says sometimes. So, it's good that he treated you well. Sometimes, once they get some money or they get some fame, they forget about where they're from and where they all came from the same place. Unless you were born with millions of dollars or money, which most of them haven't, you're coming from humble beginnings, and everybody's out there doing their job, which, the press does their job too. So it's good that you were treated with some respect, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a nice event. It really was. And look, I mean, I've seen guys who don't treat anybody well and don't treat reporters well, and guys who don't want anything to do with media people like ourselves. But Syndergaard, considering I'm sure he's heard the same questions about 3,000 times, not including what he had to hear from Boomer Carton the same morning. He was more than willing to answer those questions. So it was really a nice event. And again, folks, if you want to listen to it, it is up online on the YouTube, on the Sports Talk Nation on YouTube. You can check that out as well. And maybe at some point, Karen, maybe you can get even, and you can get Aaron Judge at some point in the future.
You never know, Michael. You never know what's going to happen. Remember when I was with Yankees 101, I went down to Trenton and I covered a bunch of them. So you never know what's going to happen.
You never know. Speaking of Aaron Judge, the guy's just been unbelievable. I mean, again, he has another big week. He has big home runs. He had a big home run the other day against the Angels. Now has 22 home runs. He leads the league, or leads the American League, I should say. I don't want to say all of baseball, but leads the American League in on-base percentage and slugging percentage, OPS, WAR, kind of a new stat, batting average, home runs, obviously, second in RBIs, seventh in hits. I mean, there hasn't been anything that this guy hasn't done, and what I found more amazing than just the simple stats like that is that there's really no way to pitch to this guy. You look at his hot and weak zone. There's really nowhere on a map that around over the entire plate that you can get him out at all. I mean, he's hitting around 300 or 400 just about everywhere around the plate, and he is a guy who has not had a cold spell since the start of the season, like the first week of the season. And he's been on this just incredible tear since the middle of April, and I don't see how I don't know when he's going to cool off, if ever.
Well, that's what everybody says. Well, eventually he's going to cool off. Well, why does he have to? It's, I mean, like the other night he had only one hit, but he walked twice. Then there was, he started out the game, he struck out on one of these games. He struck out, then he got a walk, then he got a home run, then he got a double, then got the home run. Like he's learning from bat to bat. Each at bat, he learns what he's looking at, which is amazing. That he's so quick about it. And if you compare his swing from last year to this year, he doesn't have the big leg kick because he doesn't need it. He's a big man. He's 6'7", 280, so he doesn't need to do that. He's shortened that up. And even his swing, he doesn't have a real long swing, if you want to call it that. I don't even know how to explain it. He gets his bat on the ball very quickly. And his swing is, it's like almost, I don't want to say always perfect every time, but if you see his mechanics are very good. And he doesn't chase. For a young guy, he doesn't chase that much. And they have the problem with the strike zone, some of these umpires. Because they're calling that real low strike on him, and it's by his ankle. I mean, the guy's got stirrups as it is, so that gives you a clue kind of where his knee is. He's got the stirrups all the way up. The other night, I forgot what umpire was. It was terrible. He called him out on a strike 3. It was like really almost above the dirt. So you're going to have that, I guess, once in a while. But he's been amazing with everything. Now, just not – everybody keeps saying, well, Roby's got 22 home runs, and he does, and he's got power. He doesn't even – it's effortless for him. He goes to right field. He goes to center. He goes to left. But he's hitting. He's getting hits. The other night he got a single to start off. I mean, every time he gets up, everybody, of course, wants a home run. That's not going to happen. But he's going to get a hit. He's going to get on base. He's going to get a walk. He's almost at 500% for on-base percentage. That means every 1 out of 2 times he's getting on base, whether it's a walk or whether it's a hit. I mean, it's amazing. And right now he's cooled. If you want to say cooled a little the other night, last or whatever, maybe, where he's got hit. If you look at all the games he's played, he hasn't gone like 0 for 4, 0 for 5 that much in a game at all. And he gets on base. He's been on base, I think it's 20 straight games. So that means even if he didn't get a hit, he's got a walk or he got hit by a pitch or whatever. He's getting on base. So it's amazing. He scored the most. He's scored the most runs in the American League. I forgot what it is. I have to look it up. But
it's 58.
58. So is he going to cool off? I personally think he is a 300 hitter for being a big guy. Because he, like you said, he doesn't show a weakness. He covers the plate. He doesn't swing at like wildly at stuff ever. If he does swing and strike out, he's right there. So I don't know what to say. I'm enjoying it. I mean, this has been my cry. Bring up these kids, and now we've got him. Sanchez, he hit a home run last night. He's starting to get hot. I mean, this is what you want to see, Yeah,
I mean, I agree with you. This is exactly what you want to see. And, you mentioned 0 for 4. He's only had one bad stretch, which was two games. If you call that a bad stretch, that's pretty good, where he was 0 for 7 with a run scored and a walk. So, I mean, even in that, he still finds ways to get on base. That happened in the middle of May 21st, May 22nd. Other than that, the guy's just been absolutely on fire. He's had 24 multi-hit games. Think about that. This team's played in 61 games already this year, and a little more than a third he's been on base in some fashion or had multi-hits in some fashion in a game. I mean, that's just incredible what this guy's doing. And like you just said, you just alluded to just a second ago, it's not just him. It's just about everybody on this team. The guys like Sanchez, a guy like Aaron Hicks, Castro, Aaron Hicks. He lost a starting job in spring training, and he's done a great job coming off the bench. Matt Holliday has done a nice job in regular and part-time duty. I mean, everybody's producing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing. I don't know how many. I think there's 4 or 5 of them over 300 right now. So it's just it's been so much fun to watch. Yes, of course they're winning. So when you win, it's fun. When you lose, it's not fun. But just to watch them in games, they're never out of the game, Michael, even when they're behind, because they've come back so much in games with their, because they've got the power, and they're able to do it. So it's just been fun. Every game is fun. And already you hear some of them on talk radio, some of the fans, and they need to calm down. Oh, suppose we had Chris Sale. Come on. Enjoy what you have. We always worry. We always complain about the past and what was happening, how bad it was the last couple of years. And we look to the future, but we don't always enjoy the present. You know what I mean? How about enjoy this? Wherever this goes this year, it goes. If it goes to World Series, it does. Nobody's expecting that. Nobody expected it at the beginning of the year. So just enjoy what you're watching. I just love watching every game, just to watch them, and that's what I'm doing. Every game is just fantastic to watch.
And that's all you can do, and that's all you really asked for at the start of the year. I mean, when the season started and we sat here and we talked about this in spring training, we said, what are the expectations for this team? Okay, maybe you don't expect them to win 90 games. Maybe they'll win it like 85 games or whatever. Be competitive, have some nice, maybe show something with young kids. And that was really the expectation coming to the year. Now, they played beyond those expectations, obviously. They've been playing at a contender clip. But like you said, it's still the same thing. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy it. And also pertaining to Judge, I want to relate this to him as well, because I think about what the pace he is on. 22 home runs. Put the RBIs aside because he's on his way over 100 RBIs. 22 home runs. We have not had a 60 home run season since, dare I say, the steroid era. We could have for the first time since 1961, if you truly believe that we are now in a clean era, the first legitimate. I know I just pissed off all of San Francisco and St. Louis by saying this. The true, legitimate 60 home run season if this guy hits 60 home runs. And I say, fine. And for the first time, Karen, you have not heard one person mention steroids. You have not heard one person mention HGH. You have not heard one person say, well, what if this guy's doing something? You don't hear that anymore. Everyone's sitting back and just enjoy the show. And that's what it should be.
And that's the way it should be. And someone brought that up to me and said to me, a real good Yankee friend, a friend of mine said to me, I just hope he's not juicing. I said, you can look at him and see if he's juicing. This guy's not juicing. Yes, he is big. He's 6'7", he's 280. But you know what? Can I say he's a slim 280? He's not bulky. He's not steroid. His head's not exploded out of proportion of his body. If he is, whatever, but I don't see it. That's just me. I mean, we look at all the guys who juiced, and you go back and you think about it, what they were like. And this guy is just, for his body, he's proportioned right. His arms aren't overly big if you look at them. So I'm hoping no, and I don't think so. I mean, the kid, they interviewed Michael Carey interviewed his college coach yesterday, and he said what a good kid he is. But he's got a killer instinct in him. In other words, as far as playing the game, he loves the game. He goes, and I'm sure he said the first dust-up between the Yankees and Sox will be right in the fray. That's the kind of guy he is. But he is genuine. He is humble. He's pulling Derek Jeter every time they interview him. They can't get anything out of him. It's all about the team. That's all he keeps talking about. And it's a fresh, breath of fresh air. I mean, to have somebody like this again, with the Yankees and just, and he's homegrown. That's what the Yankee fans want. They don't want you to go out and get every high price what do you call it, free agent and all that kind of stuff. They want it. They get behind their own. And right now, the Yankee fans, you're like on seventh heaven between Sanchez. You've got Judge. You've got Severino. I mean, you've got Montgomery. These are all homegrown guys. And, man, is it like, it's just fantastic. I can't say enough about it.
Absolutely. I bet you when Alex Rodriguez goes to cover the games at Yankee Stadium for Fox, they have to make sure, they have to ask him if he has a ticket to the game because they probably don't recognize him anymore. But who are you, Alex? Who? You hit how many home runs? Yeah, get out of here, Alex Rodriguez. Get out of here.
And you know what? I'm just looking at the stats right now, Michael. 5 of them are over 300. All right, you've got Judge, Gregorius. You've got Castro, Hicks. Sanchez is right there. He's at 282. Ellsbury's on the DL. He was at 281. Holiday's at 275. But what about Holiday? Hasn't he been like the veteran presence that's been needed? I mean, he's taken Judge under his wing. He says before every game, him and Judge talk about the pitcher, and Holiday tells him the same thing, up the middle. Go up the middle. And the kid is listening, and he goes, he can't get enough of talking to Holiday, who's an excellent hitter, been a hitter, his whole life. And he's been fantastic, Matt Holiday. That was a good pickup. And got to give kudos to Cashman, all the Cashman haters. I never was one. There was a couple of things that are a little, not every trade is perfect. But Cashman, he had the vision about getting these kids up, and remember getting Hicks. He was the only one who stood by Hicks. Look what Hicks is doing now. I mean, getting Didi. What about getting Didi when he had the chance? Then making the trade for Castro, putting Castro at second. Give Cashman a lot of credit. This is his team. His fingerprints are all over it.
Absolutely, they really are. I mean, there was a time a couple of years ago, people were sitting there saying, how long will Brian Cashman be here with the New York Yankees? Is his clock ticking right now? Is he going to be fired? And he stayed the course. He put together what has become a really solid baseball team. They made some difficult decisions. They released some guys. They ended some contracts. They had to eat some contracts, and they've been able to put together this team. You mentioned Matt Holliday. No disrespect to some of the veterans they had here on this team the last couple of years, but Matt Holliday is the right piece at the right time. And I heard this on the radio just the other day, and I'm going to steal the idea anyway, so I'll use it now. But they were debating at one point this offseason, Carlos Beltran or Matt Holliday. Carlos Beltran is a good player. He's a great player. But you bring in Matt Holliday, who can really, really be that strong clubhouse presence that, no offense to Beltran, maybe he just isn't that kind of guy. Maybe he isn't the kind of guy that's going to say, hey, guys, get under my wing. Holliday's been that kind of guy throughout his career. He just fits in nicely with this group.
Absolutely. And they gravitate to him, they said. Meredith Morakovitz said the other day on a pregame. She goes, the young players are going to Matt's locker or hanging around him by the batting cages. They happen to always put Judge and Holliday in the same. I guess they switch it up, when they do their batting practice. You have groups of 4 or 5 guys each time. Then you get another group, and they keep Judge and Holliday together. And he's been a great influence on the kid. And the kid's like a sponge. I mean, and he's soaking it all up, and he's asking the right questions, and he's trying to get all the information he can. And you know what? Another thing about Holliday, Judge, he hasn't gotten too big for his head. You've got the judges' chambers going, out there. They showed him again before, if you do watch the batting practice beforehand and stuff. These people were lined up in Anaheim Stadium for autographs. And he's going through, he's talking to the kids. He's autographing everything. It's the hats, the balls, whatever they're handing him. He's going right down the line. And when he floats and catches in the outfield, he always catches with the kid. From the sideline. So he's making himself, he's leading the All-Star voting now. Trout's on the shelf, so he's leading the All-Star voting. And they said he's likable. He's like the gentle giant, and he's personable with the kids. And that's what baseball needs. Baseball needs more Aaron Judges, and less of the showboating and some of the other things people do. You know, he hit his first grand slam already.
Maybe Odell Beckham Jr. can take some tips from Aaron Judge.
Yeah, please. Really. It's all about
We'll get to that cartoon character later. But but no, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is what baseball needs, because, you know, coming out of the era we came out of, where everyone's suspicious of everybody, and, you know, baseball's been looking for this hero. They've been looking for these kind of players that they can latch onto and say, okay, here are our true stars. You know, you got Trout, obviously, on the West Coast, but, you know, being out on the West Coast, being in Anaheim, no offense to Anaheim, California, but, you know, outside of that area, no one really talks about the Angels that much. They're not a great team. A lot of people thought they would be a basement dweller this year. So as great as his star is, not many people see him too much at all. So for us here on the East Coast, we're wondering, okay, who's our star? You know, we look at the Mets, or they got guys who are falling like flies all over the place. The Red Sox, they've already said goodbye to Big Papi. Pedroia's on his way out in a year or so. So who's that next big star? And this is that guy right now, in Aaron Judge.
Absolutely, and he's embracing it. And somebody asked me again the other day, another Yankee fan, I hope he's not a Kevin Ma. And I said, I don't think so. I think he's the real deal. Everybody said, and then somebody else who is a fan of another team said to me, "Oh, you know, you're all getting all excited, and then he's gonna hit the wall." You know what? First of all, if you can't get excited about Aaron Judge, then there's something wrong with you, number one. And number two, personally, his approach at the plate, the way he, like I told you, from bat to at bat, how he adjusts and makes the adjustment. That's why he's getting on base almost every single game, whether it's a walk or if he's getting a couple of hits. He's the real deal. These other guys, he's not Shane Spencer, remember him? He's not Shelley Duncan, you know, they came up a bunch of home runs. He is more than that. He's a hitter. He can throw. You saw the catches he's made. He's made a couple of diving catches in the stands. He's laid out in the middle of the outfield, gone up against the wall. I mean, he's got an arm on him. He's stolen 6 bases. The guy's 6'7", 280. He's already got 6 stolen bases. He could do everything almost. I mean, he's like 5 tall. And I think he's the real deal. I just hope he doesn't get hurt and, you know, just keeps moving along.
I hope so. I see we do have a caller on the line. We'll see. I'll try to get to him after we do a couple other things, and then we'll try to take that call. But before we do, a couple other questions, a couple of things we got to talk about. How about Aaron Hicks? You know, here's, again, like I mentioned before, here's a guy who, spring training, lost the starting outfield job, becomes a part-time player, and he's really enveloped that role, Karen. I mean, he's on a 7-game hitting streak right now, and he has really contributed in a big way for this team so far this year.
Oh, he's been on fire. And I have to say, last year I thought it was a bust. I said, all right, we traded this, and we got this Hicks, and he never got comfortable. And maybe he needed to play consistently, though they kept running him out there. Remember at the end of the year, I mean, he was constantly out there, and he's turned the corner. He's maybe adjusted. He said he talked to some people in the off season. And as far as I'm concerned, I know Ellsbury could stay on the bench right now, to be perfectly honest. Hicks is doing it all. He made a catch last night, robbed them of a home run over the wall. He steals bases. He gets the hits, timely hits. He's been driving in runs. I mean, it's been unbelievable. He's played in 53 games. Let me see. He's got 36 RBIs. He's batting .314. His OPS is .994. 500 slugging percentage. I mean, Hicks has been great. And again, give Cashman kudos. That was his thing, and they didn't give up on him. And he's paying dividends. And you know what else, Michael? He's 25. Yeah. All right, another young guy. I mean, look at the age of this team out there. Castro's like 26, or Beebe's like 25. Bird, when he comes back, is going to be in his 20s. You've got Judge, 24. You got Hicks, 25. You got Sanchez, 23. I mean, except for the Holiday and a Gardner who's in his 30s, or a Headley's 30, but the starting lineup is under 30 for most part. I mean,
it really
when was the last time you see that for the Yankees?
It's been a long time. I mean, you really got to go back to the mid '90s. Mid
Yeah.
'90s for that matter, when they're bringing up those guys like Jeter and Bernie Williams. Having those young guys on the team, having veterans like, Tino Martinez, Paul O'Neill, Chuck Knobloch. I mean, you really got to go back to then to find that kind of team.
Exactly.
Now, yeah, we do have a caller on the line. He's been waiting for a while, so let's just pot him up, and that is Lou from New Jersey. Let's bring him in now. Lou, how are you doing? What is your what is your question?
Well, I wanted to add on with what your previous caller saying that we have a great strong lineup, the best we've seen in a long time. With Mike Judge, Gary Sanchez, this goes on, and I'm pleased with this year. But we also got to be careful, they're saying that how just what baseball's been going through with its players and what they've been doing on the field. Sanchez may look like out of a storybook, but we don't know, how he's going to be turning out, later or what he's done. So I am pleased with what he's done, but we can't compare to what's going to happen later. And comparing him to the greats of the past, because some people are already doing that. They're comparing him to some of the Yankee greats of the past, like Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Reggie Jackson. He's not going to be another one of them. He's got to find his own identity. But I do like what I see in him. And it's kind of like what happened last year. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just to answer your question, Lou, and it's a good point. I don't think anyone's. We're certainly not saying that they're going to be like Babe Ruth or Joe DiMaggio. We're not saying that at all. We're just trying to compare it to what we saw, 20 years ago, and it's been that kind of, it's been a while since we've seen Yankee team rooted with so many good young players that they have a chance to really compete and do something special down the road. Whether he's going to be one of the top 10 Yankees of all time, Aaron Judge, I have no idea. No one knows. Karen doesn't know. But he's got a chance to have a really good career after a very good start. Karen, you want to add to that?
That's why what I was saying earlier, you got to enjoy the present. You got to enjoy what you're watching now. And this is what annoys me about basketball. If I heard them compare LeBron and Michael Jordan one more time, you can't compare errors. You can't compare, definitely Babe Ruth, who did a dead ball error basically, and these guys with the power they are and the equipment. The equipment's totally different. So I that's like one of my pet peeves. I can't stand when we compare errors. Can't we enjoy what we're looking at? Right now, at this time, Judge is the talk of the town and should be.
Yes.
And he looks like the real deal. So let's enjoy it, because people did it with Jeter. And I said this like 10 or 15 years in, because people were saying about Jeter, oh, he's overrated. But enjoy what you're watching, because all of a sudden he's going to be gone. And sure enough, all of a sudden Jeter's gone. Judge, if he continues like he is, enjoy it. Because as soon as you blink an eye, you're retiring or something happens. So I just tell everybody, enjoy this. I enjoy every game. I watch every game, and it's so different from last year, where we were all we couldn't even watch the games. They were so bad. So just enjoy what you're watching. We got young players. You're doing good. You're embracing the moment, and that's all we can ask.
Yeah. What else you got, Lou?
Because I also want to bring, because we had another sort of phenom that came in last year. He was with Colorado by the name of Trevor Story, and he was all the rage last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we got to be careful on these players who are the up-and-comers and think they're going to be the next great thing, when you never know. Because I think it's too soon to tell how great he's going to be or what he's going to be for the rest of the season. For all we know, he may not hit a home run for another 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, and then fans are going to start booing him and whatnot, saying, you were great then, now you stink now, So it's really hard to say, that he's really going to carry this team on through the rest of the season, because we don't really know that.
Yeah, and you're right, Lou. I mean, look at what's happening with the Mets. What's happened with the Mets over the years. A lot of people thought Jose Reyes was going to be a Hall of Fame player. He's a shell of what he once was, even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. David Wright never really transpired into that big-time, all-time third baseman for the Mets. It never happened. It's what happens over the progression of a long career that sometimes doesn't truly get fulfilled. At the moment right now, let's enjoy the ride here with Aaron Judge. 5 years from now, maybe you're right. Maybe 5 years from now, unfortunately, maybe he gets injured. Maybe something happens where there's a downturn in his career. Who knows? But the moment right now, just got to sit back and relax and enjoy it.
Right, because I was saying, like, you never know, I'd be hidden, like, they have any dirt on him right now, but you never know down the road they might come up with some dirt on him, he's taken some of those PEDs or whatever. I mean, we don't know anything about that right now, but you never know what might pop up, say, a year or two from now. So he may look clean now, but you never know.
All right. Lou, want to thank you so much for the call, man. Again, follow us here on the Open Mic program here on Blog Talk Radio. Also, follow us on the Sports Talk Nation on YouTube. Follow us there, and you can always catch replays and everything else on the podcast.
All right, Mike, thanks. And your assistant is Karen, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Talk to you next time, man. All right, so that's Lou from New Jersey, as he was able to join us for the show. So, Karen, I guess let's just piggyback off of some of those comments there. I mean, he brings up a good point. Who knows what's going to happen, a couple years from now. But at the same time, like you said, you just got to enjoy the ride.
This is what I get annoyed with, though, in a way, with some people. Like, they're already looking, is he doing PEDs? Why do we have to look at the glass half empty? It's half full. You know what I mean? Enjoy it. My God, just enjoy it. When Montgomery's pitching and Severino, enjoy it. When Sanchez hit the home run last night, enjoy it. When he throws a runner out, when Judge makes a diving catch, just enjoy what you're watching now. We don't know what's going to happen a year from now in our own lives, never mind their careers. You know what I mean? I mean, we have no idea. And people, it's like, they're already looking towards the end sometimes. Oh, is he going to get in the Hall of Fame? Is he going to be blah, blah, blah? He's going to make the All-Star game. The whole country is going to get to see him because he's going to be the starting right fielder. He'll probably be in the home run derby. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it for what it is. Sports is for enjoyment, There's enough garbage in the world.
Everyone wants the instant gratification. They want to know, okay, is he going to be a Hall of Famer right now? I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer right now. Let's just watch it play out. Let's enjoy it. That's why I think in a lot of ways, and I'll go back to the steroids thing as well. The steroid era really destroyed a lot of things because not only did it mar all those records, but it also perverted our senses because every time someone did something nice and special, we looked at it with like a grain of salt, saying, "Well, he could have done this," and it just destroys the enjoyment of it. Let's just sit back, relax, and enjoy what we have in front of us. And you mentioned it with LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Oh, why isn't he like Michael? Well, he's not Michael. No one's Michael. No one's going 6-0 in the finals. No one does that anymore. Just go sit back, relax, and enjoy the player for what he is. The NFL, with Tom Brady, there was that debate with Tom Brady and Joe Montana, and like everyone's like, well, Tom Brady's a cheater. I'm guilty of it myself. Tom Brady's a cheater. Spygate, Deflategate. He'll never be like Joe Montana. Now the guy has 5 rings, and I sit back and I say, this guy's pretty damn good. You have to just sit back and enjoy it for what it is.
But the thing is, when they start comparing errors, same thing with LeBron. During Michael's time, were there 3-pointers back then? I don't think so. When did the 3-point shot start? Do you remember when they brought it? Because it wasn't in the NBA all these years. I mean, they brought it at one point. They changed it. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I
do not.
Comparing LeBron James to, like, Bill Russell, don't do that. Don't tell me LeBron's got more points than so-and-so when he could get 3-pointers and those guys couldn't get 3-pointers. Do you understand? You know what I mean? I mean, that's why I can't stand comparing errors. Same thing with baseball. You're going to compare now to back then. The equipment is so much better now. And these guys are going against, constantly changing pitchers and whatever. And you just can't, I can't stand that because I know it's all part of the sports talk, vernacular or whatever you want to call it, that people do that. But it's very hard. You want to compare someone to 5 years ago to today? That's one thing. You want to go back 50 or 60? You can't do that. I mean, it's just, let it be each era, whatever they're doing, and if they're the top of their game at that time, they're the king, during their time. Right now, it's been LeBron. It's LeBron and Michael went head-to-head in those teams and this teams, and my God, for the whole finals, I couldn't watch any of those shows because it was constant. Just enjoy what you're watching, like the Warriors. What they did in passing, and they did almost the old-fashioned way. Everybody touches the ball, and enjoy it. Why do we always have to analyze, overanalyze? You almost take the fun out of watching. And that's what with the Yankees, I'm not overanalyzing or analyzing. I'm watching and I'm enjoying. And they're not going to win every game. It's not going to happen that way.
There's enough negativity in sports, and let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Sports is meant to be negative. Everything in baseball, you fail, as the old cliche, you fail 70% of the time. It's a negative sport. Basketball, you're only successful 40% of the time shooting. It's a negative sport. Every sport's negative. So let's just take the positives we can get out of every sport and just enjoy it. You bring up the Warriors. You know what, folks? The Golden State Warriors, the last 3 years, 207 games. There is no team that I can think of. I even looked up the Bulls from the 90s when they had that run of winning 6 and 7 years. Not even the Bulls won 207 games, regular season games, mind you, in a 3-year period. I mean, just take it for what it is and enjoy it. You may never see it again. You may never ever see a team like that again. We may never see a rookie year like we have seen here from Aaron Judge of the Yankees ever again. Just enjoy it.
Remember when the Yankees won 125 games in 98? Do you remember that year? Haven't seen it since. Nobody's come close. And that was unbelievable that year. You got to enjoy what you're watching. Judge is just pure enjoyment every at bat. He'll strike out here and there, but he really hasn't been striking out like he did last year. He's getting his bat in the ball. He's laying off pitches. They're walking him on purpose. Do you realize that sometimes? They're pitching around him and walking him. He's a rookie. He's been in the league a couple of months, but he's showing people something. And my big thing with him, why I think he's the real deal, is the in-game adjustment. Like pitch to pitch, at-bat to at-bat. That's where I'm seeing the difference, and he's hitting for average. He's not just, I'm swinging for the fences, and then that's it. I mean, he's not doing that. So, and he says he's not doing that. He doesn't look like he's swinging for the fences. What about the 500-foot one where he almost hit the retired numbers out there? I mean, that was an easy swing. That didn't look it looked effortless to me. He's just been great.
He's been fantastic. He's been fantastic to watch. I mean, it's just been a joy to watch everything that he does, and this offense is setting up record numbers. I mean, they're leading the league in runs scored. They're right up there in batting average for a team. I mean, it's just incredible what they're doing. And then let's just flip it over to the pitching here. The pitching has been somewhat suspect, but even in that, coming into the year, we thought it was going to be very suspect, but even that has been a pleasant surprise in a lot of ways. Luis Severino, tons of questions coming into the year. The guy has a strikeout ratio 4-1 in favor of strikeouts, 84 strikeouts, 18 walks. He's 5-2. CC Sabathia has reversed Father Time. He's all of a sudden 7-2. A lot of the question marks, Michael Pineda, 7-3. The question marks coming into the year of those three, at least for now in the first half of the year, have been answered.
Yes, absolutely.
They have. Then you have Jared Montgomery, who has done a nice job. I mean, Jordan Montgomery, I should say. He's done a nice job. He's a rookie. He's trying to figure things out. He's 4-4. The biggest mystery is Masahiro Tanaka, who really, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, it's injuries, it's inconsistency, just has not gotten on the right note at all this year.
And there's some problem, I guess, with the fastball. If you look at every home run, like the other night, even though they won the game, but the home run he gives up, the ball is straight. I mean, it was right in the heart of the plate, but straight. There was no movement whatsoever. So I don't know. And every time he's gotten beat, it's been the fastball, and it's been right over the heart of the plate. So his fastball right now is not doing anything that a major league hitter, it's not like, you know what I mean, having any kind of movement at all. It's just like right there. So I don't know what's going on with him. I really don't at this point.
It's just flat. I mean, 18 home runs allowed. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't know. Let's see. How old is he anyway? He's 28 years old. He's 28 years old, but I was thinking he was 38. That's what it feels like sometimes with him.
Because he's been around for a while. And, of course, he pitched in Japan. I don't know when he started there. I don't know if he started 18 or 19 in Japan, but he's got wear and tear on his arm, even though he's 28.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess he could be the equivalent, like 33 years old in a 28-year-old body. And it could be possible. It really could.
Now the problem, Sabathia is going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So where do they go? Do you bring Chad Green back into the rotation? Lengthen him out. He's got good stuff. Do you bring up Brian Mitchell? I know there's that Chance Adams. They'd have to make a roster move of the 40-man roster. He's in AAA. He's the one that's kind of been going through AAA like crazy and doing a great job. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, what they do. I think Chad Green will get a shot.
That's a serious concern right now to lose CeCe the way he's been pitching. I mean, they're going to have to give somebody an opportunity. It's going to be kind of mix and match, and it kind of puts a little more pressure on guys like Severino and Pineda a little bit because you're not getting much out of Tanaka. CeCe's now on the shelf, so now these two guys who pitch very well really have to kind of pick it up even more in these starts.
Oh, definitely. And Tanaka's really got to turn it around because Sabathia's gone. So definitely, Tanaka, I mean, he did okay, gave us that one home run. He did okay in that outing. But guess who was it against? It was against a team that's not very good. Is he going to be able to do that against Boston? Is he going to be able to do that against Toronto with their lineup? I mean, who knows? I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
Yeah, and this team is also still waiting to find out what's going on with Aroldis Chapman now. They're hoping that he can pitch well this weekend, and if all goes well, maybe he'll be activated from the DL on Sunday. We'll see what happens, but they would love to get him back in the bullpen. Now, look, the bullpen has done a good job. Dylan Betances, who I would love to see be a full-time closer, has done just fine. But, you have Chapman and Betances together in a bullpen just makes things a little bit better. So they're hoping to get him back this weekend.
Yeah, they are. They said during the Oakland series he's been doing really well. And you see how the bullpen's been taxed. They're at Clifford. I don't know what's with Clifford. But like the other night, that's one thing. This is where Girardi and we clashed with the pitching stuff. Warren was in there. You were up 3-1. Warren could go 2 innings. Warren could go more than 2 innings. Let Warren get this next inning. He was pitching good and bring in Betances. No, because you know why? He said this in a post-game interview one day. And he said, well, we have the formula, that 7-8-9 thing. BS with that. I mean, throw that out the window. Warren was pitching great. Nobody was touching him. Let him go another inning. If he gets in trouble, all right, bring in Clifford maybe. But if not, then you go to Betances. So Clifford lost 2 games in a row to them. He gave up 2, he gave up he didn't lose 2 games. He gave up the one, but they ended up winning the game. Judge got that home run, the 2-run home run, they won the game. But the second night he gives it up again. You can't have that when you come into a game. You can't be walking people, and you can't be doing that. So they missed Chapman. They definitely missed Chapman.
Well, I've never been the biggest Clipper guy. I mean, that goes back even when he was in Washington when they were trying him as a starter, and that didn't work out. And then they moved him into the bullpen. They moved him as the bullpen as a closer. That didn't work out, and they bounced around with the A's and the Mets and the Diamondbacks. I've never been a big Chapman guy. Never have been. But look,
he was originally a Yankee.
Yeah, I mean, he's your 7th inning guy when everyone's healthy, and it's kind of like with the situation Mets, a little bit like the situation with the Mets where they don't have their closer in there, and everyone's got to pick it up, and everyone's got to move up and pick it up. And it really hasn't worked for the Mets right now. It hasn't broken for the Yankees. The damn hasn't broken. Didn't help the other night, obviously, as you just mentioned with Clipper, but you hope that Chapman comes back this weekend. You can move Clipper back into the 7th inning and go from there. Maybe you have someone else step up and maybe push a little bit for that 7th inning spot for Clipper. You can push him in deeper into the bullpen as a long relief guy. But, you ask me big game playoffs, would I want Tyler Clipper to stay in a big spot in a game? I would not. Personally.
No, definitely not. And you know who I like as a 10, and he doesn't use him enough, is Jonathan Holder. He's a young kid. He's got a bunch of pitches. He can strike people out, and he uses him so sparingly. And sometimes when he comes in, then maybe they get a hit off him because he hasn't been using him enough. But I like him a lot. he could be your guy if you give him a chance instead of Clifford. You know, here's a package deal for you. Yankees need a pitcher, say, right? You want to get another pitcher, whether it's for starting rotation now or in the bullpen. I would package Clifford and Headley and throw in a lower-level prospect and go get somebody. Not that you're going to get, like, a top-of-the-line guy, but maybe you can get, like, a number 3 in a starting rotation or a really good, decent bullpen guy like a lefty or somebody that they could use. That's what I would do, but I'm not the GM.
Hey, I'll give you Matt Harvey for Ronald Herrera in his 9 ERA. How's that sound?
What happened to his scapula? They said his scapula's broken or something. What happened here?
I don't know. I mean, it's been such a weird season with this guy. I mean, it's the prima donna act, skipping out on the game, sleeping in and misbehaving and all that stuff, and now the injuries. Can't get on the same page with anybody.
Drama.
Oh, it's just always drama with this guy, and now he's injured again. Oh my! It's a shoulder injury now. I don't know.
Unbelievable,
right? He's just, I mean, the Mets just can't. The Mets right now are 30-34, and I know I'm getting off track now. 30-34. They've actually been playing good baseball. They had that great series in Atlanta, and then they took 2 out of 3 from Chicago. I mean, this is it for them right now against the Nationals. It really is. If they go in against this national team and then they lose 3 out of 4, which is very entirely possible, and then let's say drop 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers after that, you can pretty much write a note on this season. They have to, at the very least, in my mind, win 3 out of 4 this weekend against Washington. They really do, if they want to have a chance to do anything this year, and maybe split against the Dodgers. But it's now or never time this week. These next 8 games are now or never for the Mets.
Because they're 8 games back right now, right?
Yeah,
so
8 back.
So if they lose 3 out of 4 or get swept, they're almost out of it. The Yankees are one of the few teams back in '78. Remember, they came back from 13 games down around July 4th to win the division. That's rare. That's a rare occurrence. And the Mets with all the pitching issues right now, that's what always has been touted. The Mets got the best pitching rotation, blah, blah, blah. Who knows when Syndergaard's coming back? Harvey's going to be out now for a while. Your pitching's taking a hit. And what about Walker? He's injured, too. How long is he going to be out? They announced that today, too.
Let me take a look, because this is the first I've heard this one. You're placed on a 10-day DL with a partially torn left hamstring. That sounds like
it's longer
goodbye.
Longer than 10 days. They do that 10-day DL, but if it's torn, CC is 6 weeks with just a strain. If it's torn, you're talking, 2 months or maybe the whole season?
Yeah, you're talking 2 months. I mean, even Cespedes, was limping around with that hamstring injury, and he is not where he should be. I mean, a lot of people thought that maybe he came back too soon. And if he stayed the course for the full DL stint, play would have been out full 2 months. So it's going to be a while with Walker, and now Harvey with the stress injury in the shoulder. Who knows? With this guy and the injury history he's had, nothing would surprise me anyway with this guy. His career, I hate to say this too, his career has gone so far south, so fast. It may be the fastest decline of a career I've ever seen. And here's a guy who's talked about wanting to be paid as one of the top pitchers in the game. I want to be a Yankee one day. I want to be a Red Sox one day. I want to get out in the Mets and all this stuff. You know what? I don't think anyone's going to want this guy in 2 years when he hits the market. If this continues, he just can't pay out.
San Diego Padres. They'll take anybody right now.
They'll take any. That's how bad the Padres are right now. That's how bad it is. Oh my goodness. Maybe even the Giants, for that matter, they're pretty bad right now too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they are. Oh. Yeah, it's just like, oh my God. You have either really decent teams or really bad teams. There's not too much mediocre. I think it's either they're playing well or they really stink. I don't know. I guess it's parity. I don't know. There's too many teams. I don't know. It's like watered down, some of these. The
entire season's been like that. I mean, even the Red Sox, 37-28. I don't think they're that good, and they're not that good. The Central Division is terrible. The West is over. I mean, Houston won the division in April. Jesus.
Really?
Washington already clinched. Washington's already clinched their ticket to the playoffs. It's only June 15th. The Cubs can't get out of their own way. In the West, it's the Rockies, D-backs, and Dodgers. That's it. I mean, it's really a weak year this year.
It is, definitely.
It really is.
So,
wow. Maybe
I
it's
just
the
can't
Yankees.
wait for Greg Bird to come back.
Maybe it is the Yankees year, Karen. Maybe it is the Yankees year.
I don't know. You don't know. I'm not thinking World Series. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking try to win the division. You can. They've got the talent. They've come back when they've been down. They've got the firepower to do it. So let's win the division. Then we go from there. You got to take one step at a time. And just like I said, enjoy the ride. This wasn't expected this year. They were actually picked, by experts at the beginning of the year to come in fourth in the division. Oh, they got all these kids and blah, 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 and the pitching. Guess what? The Yankees' top 4 pitchers, take out Tanaka, has the best ERA of any of the most of the American League teams. All right?
Wow.
So what does that tell you? They're all under 4 except for Tanaka. They're all under 4, and Severino's under 3. So what does that tell you? That everybody knocked them so much. But they held their own. Sabathia, like you said, had a renaissance. Pineda, at least, he didn't win last night, but overall, he's been much more consistent. Severino, the 2 kids have been holding their own. Severino's made the leap after last year's disaster. He's turned the corner. So can you imagine if Tanaka was Tanaka? The Yankees wouldn't have starting pitching issues. And then you always have like those couple of backups, Green and Mitchell, and if you had to bring Warren in, you could do that. If you had to, make him a starter again.
Yeah, they would only be 48-15. How terrible that would be.
Really?
Oh my
goodness! We need to just get rid of Carter too. I can't stand him. Every time
he's a strikeout.
He's
just a strikeout machine.
He's just a
strikeout machine. That's it.
Like he doesn't care. And he's swinging at stuff that's not even never a strike half the time. I can't stand him. I just can't. I can't. When are they bringing Bird back already? They haven't. Tyler Austin has been killing the ball. Bring him up. Yeah. I'll take him at first. I don't care.
Well, there's a story. You bring up Greg Bird, and here's a story from the Daily News. Okay, here we go. The news is that Greg Bird has been struggling in his minor league rehab stint and isn't feeling right, and will be seeing the doctor, according to manager Joe Girardi. Yankees. He announced this on Thursday on Mike Francesa's show on WFAN. He fouled a ball off his ankle in a Grapefruit League game, and he is just not doing well at all.
Great.
So Greg Bird.
Tyler Austin. He plays first. He plays outfield. He plays first, third in the outfield position. He could be your backup. Get rid of Carter already. Or I guess they're going to keep him then right now. Oh, what a disaster. He's an automatic out. The other night they left, not on this road trip, but but prior to that when they were home or something, there was 14 men left on base, I think, or something like that. Headley, Carter, alone left 7 on base. Between the 2 of them. When they came up, they did nothing. So what? You're not producing. You're not driving. You can't get a long fly. These were not with 2 outs, a lot of these things. Come on. I don't get it. But Tyler Austin's batting like 300. I'm pretty sure. I have the what do you call it up here? The minor. Let me see.
Well, anyway, here's one thing. Here's one thing about Chris Carter. A little bit of a milestone that he's got a chance to reach. Yankees should not get rid of him because he is 70 strikeouts away, people, from 1,000 strikeouts in a career. There you go.
There you go. That's
oh
what
my goodness! The guy is just a walking strikeout.
Tyler Austin right now is batting .325.
What is he doing?
Okay. He's batting .325. Bring him up. What do you got to lose at this point?
They may be thinking, we have a lot of young they may be thinking we don't want to cost this guy at bats. But you got such a hole at first base, you got to do something.
Yeah. Oh, what about the other day? He cost them part of the game, too. The error, it was an automatic out. He closes his glove before the ball even got there. Who does that? The glove was completely closed. It hit off the front of his closed glove. Are you kidding me? Like, the little leaguers don't do that. Please, don't get me started with between him and Headley, I can't. I'm just like, they're automatic outs. I'm sorry. They're just automatic outs.
They are. But that's why they can't play much at all. And they really need to answer that question at first base. They may be forced to make a trade. They may be forced to make a trade. If we're sitting here in July and still Brum, and they're right in the thick of this thing, and they don't feel that these kids down there are ready, they may be forced to make a trade. I'm just saying. It's very, very possible.
Well, I'm hoping Greg Bird, if he's got to see the doctor again, he might have what? Remember Teixeira? His was really broken, and they never found it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That hairline fracture in there, maybe this kid's got a broken ankle. Who knows?
Who knows? Wow. Anyway, Yankees right now 38-25. They've been playing good baseball. A couple, there's always nagging things to worry about during the course of a long season. There's still some imperfections here. But this team's getting ready for a big series in Oakland. You would expect them to do well. They've lost their last two. So they're trying to turn around that road trip out there on the West Coast. And it should be, last thing on the Yankees here, Karen, before I just want to move quickly to the Giants for a couple of minutes. It should be a successful weekend for the Yankees. We'll see how it goes.
Hopefully it is.